The first thing Lena noticed was the smell. Not dust, not mold, but something damp and strangely organic, like sweat soaked into fabric that had never been washed. The hallway stretched on before her, dimly lit by a yellowish overhead light that flickered every few seconds. She stepped forward, her boots squelching softly against the floor. The walls pulsed. She froze. It was slow, almost imperceptible, but as she stood in silence, she realized the surface wasn't stone or drywall. It was textured, ribbed in places, soft in others, and it reacted ever so slightly to her proximity. She reached out a trembling hand and touched it. Warm. Supple. It flinched. Lena recoiled, heart thudding. She backed away, but the hallway behind her was gone, replaced by the same fleshy corridor stretching endlessly both ways. She spun around in panic, breathing fast. And then she heard it, a low thrum, deep and steady, like a heartbeat echoing through the passage, and a voice whispering faintly. Closer. She turned again, squinting into the gloom ahead. A shape moved in the distance, shifting slowly as if rising from the floor or descending from the ceiling. Lena had come here to investigate the old Hartwell Sanitarium. Abandoned since the late 1970s, it had been the site of whispered stories, people going missing, strange lights, sudden disappearances. Most wrote it off as urban legend, but now she was inside something that felt alive. Her flashlight sputtered, then came back to life. She raised it and pointed it at the walls. Veins. They were veins, crisscrossing the surface in branching rivers of blue and purple. Some throbbed. Others twitched when the light passed over them. The corridor gave a low groan. A slit appeared in the wall beside her, slowly opening like a mouth. It whispered again. Come closer. She took a step back. Then another, but the floor rose slightly behind her, curving to push her forward. Her balance shifted and she stumbled right into the open slit. It enveloped her, warm, wet, tight. She screamed and thrashed, but the space around her adjusted, compressing gently like a womb. A hum filled her ears, louder now. She couldn't tell if it was a language or a melody. Her flashlight fell from her hand, swallowed instantly by the pulsing surface. And then, everything stopped. The air stilled, the walls relaxed, and a voice much clearer now spoke in her mind. You've been chosen. Lena gasped, the voice still reverberating in her skull. She could breathe, but barely. The space around her had changed. It wasn't squeezing her anymore, but it held her in place like a second skin. She could move her fingers, twitch her toes, but nothing more. She tried to scream again, but her voice caught in her throat. Her mouth worked silently in the dark, the sound of her own heartbeat roaring in her ears. Then a light appeared ahead of her, soft, pulsing like a heartbeat. The walls around her slowly peeled back, revealing a chamber. It was vast, warm-toned, and organic. The floor rose and fell in shallow, breathing waves. Strange columns stretched from ceiling to floor, shaped like twisted limbs or thick cords of muscle. The air smelled like iron and milk and something faintly sweet. It clung to her skin. She stepped out into the chamber dazed. Her clothes were damp but untouched, her boots trailing a slick line behind her. The voice returned, quieter now, like it had sunk deeper beneath her thoughts. Don't run. She looked up and saw them, figures half fused with the walls. Their eyes moved, tracking her, but their mouths were stitched shut. Skin had grown over limbs and torsos, binding them into the very architecture. Some had hands free, twitching gently. One had a face pressed outward through the flesh wall. Mouth open in an eternal silent scream. Lena's breath caught again. The figures didn't seem dead. They blinked, one wept. She staggered backward, hand brushing one of the columns, and it shuddered. Not like an object, but like an animal in pain. A low moan rolled through the chamber, and one of the wall-bound figures groaned, skin splitting slightly along his cheek. She stepped back, horrified. Then another voice, not inside her head this time, spoke aloud. You're early, it said. From the far side of the chamber, something stepped into view, not human. Its form shifted constantly. At one moment it seemed humanoid, tall and slender with skin that shimmered like oil, but in the next breath it hunched, its limbs bending the wrong way, bones cracking and reforming under its surface. Its face never settled, cycling through mouths, eyes, noses, like it was trying on expressions to see which would fit. Lena could not speak. I should have waited, the creature said. And now its voice was soft, regretful. But the house is hungry. It stepped closer. Lena took a shaky breath, fighting the fog that pressed against her thoughts. What is this place? She managed to whisper. The creature tilted its shifting head. It's home, it said. It was once stone, brick, mortar, but it grew. And now it remembers every soul that enters. You'll understand soon. The chamber pulsed around her, a deep groan of contentment. "I don't want to be here," she said, backing away. "You came," the thing replied simply. "And that is always enough." From the ceiling above, something began to descend, a cradle of bone, a seat of flesh, waiting. Lena stood frozen as the cradle lowered, its surface slick and glistening, shaped not by hands but by something ancient and instinctive. It hovered just above the ground, pulsing in time with the rhythmic thrum of the chamber. The shifting creature stepped aside, gesturing silently. She wanted to run. Her body screamed to turn, to find an exit, to fight. But the walls watched her, the eyes, the mouths, the silent faces embedded in the skin. And somewhere inside, a truth had begun to take root, a terrible understanding that this place wanted her, not just to consume her, but to remember her. "I'm not like the others," she whispered, trembling. "I didn't come here to stay." The creature's form twisted again, briefly taking on something close to human sorrow. "None of them did," it said. A silence settled over the chamber. Then, softly, the cradle spoke, not with words but with memory. Lena saw images flash behind her eyes. A child lost in the asylum's halls long ago, a nurse who stayed too late, a man drawn by voices that promised healing. Each taken, each remembered, each now part of the walls. The room didn't just devour people. It learned them, wore them, became them. Lena backed away, and this time, nothing stopped her. The walls did not rise. The floor did not shift. Even the heartbeat faded. She turned and ran. Her boots slapped against the fleshy ground, through passageways that pulsed and hissed but didn't close. For the first time since entering, the house let her go. She burst through an opening and stumbled into the gray light of early morning. The old sanitarium loomed behind her, its windows broken, its roof collapsed, its walls still and silent. Just a ruined building. Breathing hard, Lena looked back one last time. The doorway she had escaped from was gone. Only brick and ivy remained. But as she stood in the quiet, she felt it again, deep under her skin. A rhythm, a pulse, a memory not hers. The house had let her go, but not without her.